So Russell.
Hey, welcome.
How are you?
Yeah, good to see you, Terry.
You too.
Nice to see you again.
You too. So yeah. I set up this opportunity for us to help people to understand a little bit more of the work that you do, and some of our experiences and our timeline, which goes, pretty far back.
Way back.
Yeah. I don't know how many years, I've lost track, but it's been years and years and years.
At least 20.
Yeah. And I think I first met you at the ERC, the Ecology Retreat Center. Is that correct?
That's right, in Russelle,
Yeah, and you were helping to organize there. You were running the facility, and it was a facility that had many different types of groups come in and do different meditations or different seminars.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah.
And I remember we connected pretty right off the bat in relation to.
Yeah, there was something about you that I recognized in myself, and
and I felt exactly the same way. So I wanted to welcome you to the talk today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Terry. This is
exactly the same way. I think probably what I want to clarify, because you've got a book coming out soon.
That's correct. Yeah.
I know you've been working really hard on the book.
Yeah, it's called No-Dogma Gurus.
No-Dogma Gurus.
Yeah.
What is a no-dogma guru?
Well, I think a no-dogma guru is a spiritual teacher that is adverse to having dogma as part of his spiritual teachings. And it's interesting that you mentioned the Ecology Retreat Center, because as a owner of the retreat center, I came across so many different spiritual groups, and I saw one group had particular orientation towards a spiritual path. You can't wear hats in the temple they would set up in the meeting hall, and then the next weekend we'd have another group that say, well, in respect to our teacher, please wear a hat. And I just saw so much of this type of these belief systems that in a way kind of indoctrinated people into a particular view of life. And I think a lot of what's happening today in the last 20 years is a lot of gurus. The whole guru tradition is coming under investigation. People are being suspicious about spiritual teachers. There's been history of spiritual teachers teaching dogma who take advantage of their students. But even if we look back in history, and even currently, we just see we've been under the influence of dogma trauma, you might say. Religious spiritual fanatics, believing their way is the only way, and they need to get rid of the other spiritual fanatics who believe their way is the only way. And so throughout history we've seen so much violence, suffering, people that have inflicted so much pain on one another, religious wars that are the basis of it all is dogma. And so I've said to myself, I'm not going to be this kind of teacher that presents more dogma, more secondhand belief to being us.
There seems to be this need on a general basis with probably the majority of people that they need somebody to follow, or they need a system to follow, or they need to believe in some dogma that is greater than themselves, that can help liberate them. So what would you say to a person who wanted to get into some kind of work, perhaps work that you're doing, but weren't necessarily looking for dogma? What would you do with them? Like, what would be the process that you would help them through discovery without dogma? Like, what would take place, would you say?
Well, I think first off, what we have to realize is that what dogma actually is, and so that we can recognize it. So with people, I would ask people, how do you know what you believe is true? And if we ask that question of anything that we believe in life, we would start to be shocked at how much little is based on our actual experience of being true. And so I would ask people to find out the truth for themselves. Make a commitment, first off. Do you know this is true? If not, find out the truth for yourself. And being willing to face something that most people that accept dogma, you know, secondhand dogma, pre-digested belief, you know, you might say it's pre-digested belief. Who wants to eat anything that's pre-digested? It tastes terrible, it can give you a rash. Same with dogma. But most people take on dogma because they can't face the unknown. And the mind needs to explain something. The mind cannot put up with this uncertainty of not knowing. There's an actual pain of confusion. And what I would suggest to people is say, this is what you need to face. Be willing to be in the unknown. And ask this question myself, who am I? What is life really all about? What is the truth beyond that unknown? Be willing to face the unknown and experience the truth for yourself.
Now that's a really good point that you make, because I know that when people go through crisis, family crisis, sometimes life changes and people just experience an overwhelm of emotional crisis. And a lot of people turn to certain belief systems because they find comfort for a while in following a belief system.
That's correct.
It gives them some sort of, you know, temporary relief in saying, this is how I'm feeling right now, and by believing in this is going to make me feel a lot better. That's and correct. I feel a lot better. Yes. You know? And I think that can actually help to a degree in a crisis situation.
That's correct.
But where does a person go from there, would you say, after they've realized they need something else in their life, and perhaps they've taken on a belief system? So what you're actually saying is to go deeper than that.
That's correct. Yeah.
Could you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, what I'm suggesting to people is to realize that anytime you take on a belief system, a dogma, which is somebody else's idea of what the truth is, you're actually limiting your experience of your life, of reality. And I've seen this so often in some of the retreats that I've led, is that people will come in with a certain belief system, wanting to reinforce that belief system, and if some other kind of experience comes to them, and it could be like a deeper insight, maybe even a deep enlightenment experience, they'll reject it because it doesn't fit their belief system. And I would encourage people to face the unknown and be comfortable with the unknown in their lives. Yes, having the security of a religion or a certain philosophical path for a while is helpful in life, but it's just a temporary security. It's just a temporary security. But on the other side of the unknown is something that's quite remarkable, which is the experience of wonder, of openness, of seeing things more as they really are. You might say it's like a childlike innocence, a childlike view of the world. So just to give you an experience of this, if we take away just the label of a tree, when we walk in the forest and we see a tree, we have a certain experience and belief system of what a tree is. If we just take away that label, tree, and we're just open to the way it actually is, without our interpretation of it, without any experience, prior experience limiting the future experience of that, it's quite a remarkable experience. Right. That we go past the unknown into this state of openness and wonder, where the world can become quite a place of mystery and magic.
Very
and
much.
That is the true religion. There's a gentleman that I read quite often. His name's Krishnamurti, and he's a spiritual teacher many years ago. And he said the true religion is sensitivity to reality. And when we can be sensitive to the reality of ourselves, that what others are, there is a remarkable experience that's beyond dogma, and experience the truth.
One of the reasons I started Inner Outer You, the organization, is to help people with skills in life. So, as an example, to be able to put people like you in front of an audience and say, you know, here is an area that people can benefit from perhaps taking their inner exploration and discovery deeper, and going, what you're saying, is beyond those belief systems and getting in touch with perhaps a core root of who they really are.
That's correct.
And so, what kind of seminars or retreats do you do that can actually help people in that area in relation to helping them to take their inner discovery exploration deeper?
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to offer in that area?
Well, I would say the fundamental thing that I help people with is to awaken to their true nature, who they actually are, beyond the social facade, the socialized personality that we have, and also help to find the true purpose in their life. And when they do that, there's this energy of aliveness that comes out just from themselves. And I also help people to release some of the inner blockages that they have to becoming more aware, presenting themselves as they truly are, and find, you might say, a new sense of energy and engagement in life. So one of the seminars I do is a retreat called the Enlightenment Intensive, which is an inquiry process. It's very much like a Zen practice, and you inquire into the nature of things. So, who am I? You know, what is my true nature? What is life? You know, we're involved in this thing that we've been involved with for years and years and years, and we look back, and after getting banged around so many times, we start to wonder, what's it all about? What is the nature of it?
Right.
And so the Enlightenment Intensive is a process of inquiry. It's different than most meditative practices in that it's a paired inquiry. So people sit across from one another, and one person asks their partner the question, tell me who you are. And they'll be quiet. They'll just put their attention, there's no interaction on that person that they've asked the question to.
Right.
And then what we would do as a partner is look inside, allow the mind to have its natural interest, which is to investigate things. The mind naturally wants to find out. So the mind will ask, who am I? The mind's interested.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who am I? Hey, I'd like to reinforce my sense of self.
Mm-hmm.
Who is this? I want to find out, and allow that natural interest then to go into oneself. And then when the person comes up with what they've experienced, they communicate to their partner. And that communication then starts to dissolve the layers and layers in the mind of the illusion and the unreality that we've been living in that have caused us a lot of suffering. And at some point, there's this awakening experience.
Yeah. I remember the first time that I took part in Enlightenment Intensive many years ago. Coming from a very structured martial art background, Zen was always a part of my training. And when I was on the Enlightenment Intensive retreat, I remember being in this highly meditative state, but as you say, partnered up. And I just felt this amazing release, level after level after level. It was like peeling back the layers of an onion. And you know, as the instruction comes across, the question comes across from somebody, you know, tell me who you are. And the first thing that came to my head was, well, I'm Terry Hodgkinson. And then of course you take it deeper and deeper and and you get that sense of who you really are, and then there's just amazing, after a while of doing it for a period of time, there's this amazing release and this breakthrough, and you just experience just this amazing direct relationship to who you really are. And I think this is why I enjoy bringing people like Russelle on into the program of exposing different methods and different ways of helping people to advance in their life and go deeper as well as do better in life, is because Russelle's been doing this for, I don't know, I know you've been doing
probably
it
about
for 30 years.
30 years,
yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's not new at this. This is something that he's done many.
I've been banged up.
He's been doing this for a while, and I can tell you right now, I know a lot of people in the community when it comes to self-development and self-improvement and enlightenment, and one of the reasons Russelle and I are very close friends is because most of all I've enjoyed Russelle's integrity throughout the 20 years that I've known him in relation to sticking to your values. You know, you have a set of values and you just do not deviate from them. And I've seen that in a number of different areas in relation to, you know, when something happens, Russelle always goes back to the values and being centered as an individual. And issues with you know, money, or issues with power, or issues with, you know, what a lot of gurus, and I'm not specifically calling Russelle a guru because he's a no guru, no dogma. but what I'm trying to get across is Russelle is, in a way, a leader. And I've really respected his method in leading because it's kind of like what I believe in, which is leading without leading.
That's correct. And you know, as somebody that really finds that dogma is really destructive in life, one of the things that I am really centered in is providing people with techniques rather than dogma. So techniques, you might say I'm a technique teacher rather than a dogma teacher. I teach techniques that help people go to that awakened state, that enlightened state that you've experienced and that I've experienced and that many other people have experienced. But people get there on their own with the assistance of, you know, of myself. So I mean, and other people that are on the retreat. So in one sense, we're guides. Mm-hmm. We're not gurus. We're technique teachers. We give people the methods that have helped us. And in so doing, people go beyond dogma, beyond belief, to their own experience of the truth, which is common to all religions, which is underlying all the spiritual texts that people can read. And people will have their own experience of what's true about themselves. They'll become their own book.
Right.
Read the book that is yourself, is the guide of reality.
Keep an eye out for Russelle's events. He can be found at truesourceseminars.com, and you can find out all of the latest from Russelle, including his book that I know he's been working on very diligently, and I know it's going to be a great book because he's told me some of what's going into it, and I'm going to be one of the first people that line up to buy it. So it's something that if you are a seeker of wisdom that comes from within, and you resonate with what Russelle and I are talking about here today, then that's going to be something that you definitely want to check out. So please visit truesourceseminars.com and find out all the information that you need to about Russelle Scott. And I just want to say that it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Having you here.
Me too.
Today. And I've enjoyed the conversation. And I know our audience who's watching, whoever is watching this, is going to enjoy it and learn from it too. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Terry. This has been wonderful.
Great.
Yes.